In order to subscribe to my channel, please click here or click here. Please share, comment and like my videos and channel. Hello guys, welcome to SaaS with ServiceNow. This session is about JavaScript in ServiceNow. If you want to be a ServiceNow developer and want to do scripting to perform complex customization in ServiceNow, then you definitely need to know about JavaScript. This session is not about advanced JavaScript training, as the focus would only be on the basics of JavaScript, which is basically used in daily development in ServiceNow. Topics to be covered in this training. We will start with overview of JavaScript. Then we will talk about syntax used in JavaScript. Then we will see variables and data types. And then we will see functions. We will also talk about conditions. And then we will see how JavaScript is used in ServiceNow with all these above topics. And then I will show you some examples by writing some scripts in JavaScript in ServiceNow. Before I start this session, I would like to recommend you a free course of JavaScript on codeacademy.com. If you are new to ServiceNow and new to development world, you should definitely complete this course before you start learning development in ServiceNow. I do have a complete scripting course. You will find the link in the description as well. That will train you and on the complete development training of ServiceNow, that how exactly you can use different functionalities of ServiceNow and do the scripting into those functionalities, into those elements of ServiceNow, like business rules, client scripts. But before that, it is very important to learn about JavaScript, because that's a base scripting which you have to use in ServiceNow while doing development and while writing the script in ServiceNow. Now, before I start my first topic, I would also like to show you my personal developer instance. Now, we will talk about different keywords, different reserve words, different elements of JavaScript, different syntax, what exactly syntax we used in JavaScript. So in order to show you the examples, live examples, what I will do, I will go to background script. So if you have little bit experience in ServiceNow administration as well, you must have seen or you must have learned about this module as well, which will take you. So if I click here, you will see this background scripting. It is something which is basically the server side scripting. You can write the script here and you can check and get some data. This is something you can use in your, I would say, usual development process as well. We have another feature similar to this, like fix script. So it totally depends on you as per your use case, what exactly you want to use. But I just want to show you all examples practically in ServiceNow. In that case, I will use background script. So I will make it a little bit large. So I will zoom it a little bit, and so that you can just see all the scripts I will write in this particular section. Overview of JavaScript. JavaScript is a scripting or programming language that allows you to implement complex features on web pages. JavaScript is object-oriented programming, which means that you can build smaller objects and you can keep them and put them in a container. There are three types of JavaScript. Client-side JavaScript, which is an extended version of JavaScript that enables the enhancement and manipulation of web pages and client browsers. Server-side JavaScript, which is an extended version of JavaScript that enables backend access to the tables, database, file systems, and servers. And the third one is core JavaScript, which is the base JavaScript language used by both client and server-side JavaScripts. In ServiceNow, you will use all of these. However, ServiceNow has their own scripting methods and APIs which you need to use while doing scripting in ServiceNow in JavaScript. Syntax. Before you write a code in JavaScript in ServiceNow, it's very important to know about syntax used in JavaScript, which is basically syntax of JavaScript, not ServiceNow, but those are the syntax of JavaScript. JavaScript is case sensitive. So if you are declaring a variable in capital A letter with a string value test A and a small letter with same string value test A, in that case, capital A and small a will not be the same, will not be equal, which means that you have to make sure about case sensitive when you write a code in JavaScript in ServiceNow. Try not to use extra spaces. While writing code in JavaScript, you need to try to minimize the spaces in the statements. So if we have this statement of code with spaces and another one without spaces, then first one is not recommended and second one is recommended. So if I take you to my personal developer instance, so in this case, as I was talking about, for example, var x equal to, and here I just put maybe test, same thing, maybe test x, and then I do var y, just capital X, and then I do test y. Now, or maybe x. Now in this case, you can see now these both values x and x are totally different. They're not equal. So that is something that means it is case sensitive. So you can also declare a variable a in lowercase, and you can also declare a or x or y, any variable in uppercase as well. And if I talk about the spaces, so you don't have to put this kind of space. Basically the ideal one is like this. You should not have much of spaces. Anyhow, this is not going to harm it, but I think even in ServiceNow you will get some, error that there are a lot of spaces out there. That's something you will definitely get, I think, while you will write a script in ServiceNow. So the next is semicolon. Now in JavaScript, every statement of code ends with semicolon. So if you are putting semicolon, that means that line of code is completed. So in this case, as you can see here, so I have this var x equal to test x, and this is what I am putting here. So this is basically ending this line of code. So whenever you want to end any line of code or statement, you can just put semicolon. So that's how you use that. It's kind of a period. It's kind of a stop for any kind of line of statement in JavaScript. Strings. So when you define string values in JavaScript, then you have to use double quotes or single quotes. The value should start with quote and end with quote. It can be double or single, which will make it a string. So like this, you can see test and test. Now both are a string, but one is with single quote and another one is double quote. So if I take you to my personal developer instance, and here if I want to make any string. Now in order to make any value string, for example, we have var x equal to. If I type test, now this is not string. If I have to make this as a string value, I have to use double quote, or I can use single quote. But you have to remember, if you want to end the statement, you have to put semicolon. So that's how you can declare, you can use string values in JavaScript. Parentheses. Parentheses are used with conditions and functions. So if you have to confirm any value of any variable or compare the values of two variables, then you use parenthesis. And the conditions should be mentioned between parentheses. Like you can see in this case, if a equal to 1. And you also declare a function with parentheses. So for example, if I go here and if I have to write like this, so in this case, if I have, for example, var x equal to test, and here if I want to just I want to confirm that, so I can do where I have to put that in parentheses. As I mentioned, we have to use it with conditions. So the condition is if x equal to, and I can just do test, and the answer will definitely come true because that's a value of x. So that's how you use parentheses. Similarly, if you want to declare a function, so I can just type function and I can type maybe my name and I can just put parentheses. That's how you declare a function as well. Comments. Now comments plays very important role in JavaScript. Developers can use comments to help other developers and mention about the purpose of line of code or block of code. You can use double forward slash, which will be treated as a comment and will not be executed as part of the code. So if I come to my background script here, and for example, I'm going to write this script, and if I want basically a line so that other developer can see the code and understand what exactly this code is about, in that case I will put 2 forward slash, and then I can just type this is just a test code, or whatever the purpose of the code is. You can just mention, you can mention anywhere you want, even after this line, wherever you want, where you want to mention specifically for yourself as a developer. If so, you want yourself to make sure that you also remember it, and maybe if you want to help other developers. So as a developer, if you are a good developer, you should definitely make habit of using comments. This is really great habit if you're working as a developer. If you have to write script in ServiceNow or anywhere as a developer, you should definitely make this habit. Escape characters. When you work with strings, and if you need to add a special character like single or double quote, which should be treated as a value, then you need to use escape character. An escape character enables you to use special character in the string and will be interpreted as a value. In this case, test is surrounded with quotes. However, this code will return an error. So in order to use this without giving an error, you have to add backslash character before the special character every time to be interpreted as a value. So if I go here, if I come here in my personal developer instance, now here, if for example we have this string, but for example test is a value, or maybe I want to populate this value somewhere, or maybe I can show you quick example. I think that is better. Let me try this. So I will just remove this whole code again. Now in this background script, if I have to show you the printed results, so I just want to tell you that I will use gs.print. If I will use this, I would be able to print this basically. So I will remove it from here first, and then I will write the code. So for example, we have a equal to, now I am doing here SAASWITHSERVICENOW is a YouTube channel. That's good. I put semicolon, and now I write maybe gs.print, and I'm just printing a. Now if I will do that, if I run this code, now how exactly you can run the code in background script, I will show you. You need to go to little bit bottom here. So what I will do, I will run the script. So you can see it says SAASWITHSERVICENOW is a YouTube channel. That means you are getting the output. Now if I go back, same code here, and I put here double quote in the string. Now you put double quotes to make a value as a string, but let's see if I'm able to get the results. So if I do this, you can see that it is giving me JavaScript compiler error exception. It says missing semicolon before. Now that's the reason it is not able to print now. So if I go back, now this time what I will do, that's the reason it is asking for this. It is thinking that this is kind of a quotations just to create the string value, and you have to put some semicolon here. That's what it is recommending you. But that's not the case. I really want to populate this. So in that case, what I will do a backslash here. I will come here. I will do a backslash here. And this time I will click on run script. And let's see the magic. If I click here, you can see now, and you can see the result. It says SAASWITHSERVICENOW is a YouTube channel. So you can see, we can see those in quotes now, and it is ignoring that. And that's what you call as escape character. Reserve words. In JavaScript, you cannot use some reserve words as variables, labels, or function names. Those words are break, case, catch, continue, default, delete, do, else, false, finally, for, function, if, in, instance of, new, null, return, switch, this, throw, true, try, type of, where, and that's the one which you will always use while doing scripting in ServiceNow. Void, while, and the last one is with. So these are reserve words, and you don't have to use these words in labels, variables. I will show you quickly in my personal developer instance. So let me go back here. Now, here we have this variable a. Let's say if I put variable f. Now if is a reserve word, which I just showed you. Should I use this? Should I really use this as a developer? Let me run this first. So what I will do, I will run this, and I will get an error. You can see that it says JavaScript compiler error, again missing variable. That's something it is telling you, missing a variable. So because you are using a reserve word, you're using a JavaScript reserve word. That's the reason it is giving you an error. So if I go back and if I use a, because a is not a reserve word, and if I run this, I will get the result. I will get the output without any issue. I'm getting it. Maybe let's say we have any other reserve word, maybe like break. And if I use here break, let's say I'm using break, and if I run this, again you can see that we are still getting that error, missing variable. That means it is saying you have not declared any variable yet, because break is a reserve word which you cannot use. You're not allowed to use break. But that's how you can use these reserve words. So you have to know before using those words as variable, you have to make sure that you're not using reserve words in your script. Variables and data types. Variables. JavaScript variables are containers for storing data values. In JavaScript, variable can contain any type of data: string values, integers, objects, arrays, functions. You can initiate a variable with var keyword, which is also a reserve word. So if I take you to my personal developer instance, and if I come here, and I just put var. So whenever you have to initiate a variable which has to store a value, so in that case I can put, for example, a. So a is a variable, and how exactly you are initiating is it as var keyword. And that's a keyword, reserve word, which we just learned. So that's how you can declare. Now, if I just maybe, for example, run this, let's see if I get any error. So you can see that I did not get any error, but it it didn't have any kind of value. We didn't do any kind of print. So if I do, for example, gs.print, let's say if I get something. So I'm doing var a, then I'm doing gs.print. I'm not giving any value now. And I'm running this. Let's see. It says undefined. That means if you will create a variable and you will not give any value, you will not try to store any value, in that case, you will get this kind of error in your script. As a developer, you have to know it, because in ServiceNow, this is really, really important. So if I go back, we have this a, but here, if I give it a value, maybe a equal to, not double, we have to a equal to 100. And now this time I print it. I run this. If I am running it, you can see I can get the value stored in a variable. And that is what I am getting here. Data types. There are 5 data types in JavaScript. 5 types of basic data types. String, number, Boolean, array, and object. So these are 5 basic data types used in JavaScript. First one is a string. You provide the string value by putting quotes between the values. And the string is basically made, you can see, with the help of double quotes. And you can also make string value and single quotes as well. So if I take you to my personal developer instance here, and if I just do, maybe we can just change here, and I can put maybe YouTube. That's one string. And I can do var b equal to, and I can do channel. And if I do a plus b, let's see if I can get something. And if I run this, I'm getting YouTube channel, but here I have just in double quotes, but I want to put it as single quote. But that's what we're learning. You can make the string with double quotes and single quote. I will click on run script. You can see I'm still getting the same output, no difference. That means you can create string with double quotes and single quotes. Number variable is defined by using integer values. So that means, so if I have a variable which will store integer value, in that case, that means that will be called as a number data type. It will be an integer data type. That's what you can call here. So that's, this time a is basically a number data type variable, because you're putting here integer values. Boolean. Boolean is true or false. So if you want to use Boolean, you can just do as a true or false. So for example, if I come here and I do a is equal to true. Now a variable is a Boolean type of variable, because the value you have storing here true, but there is a big difference. If I put them in, for example, single quote, now it becomes string. So a is the data type for a variable would be string now. But if I will remove it, if I'm just keeping it as true, then it will be called as Boolean. And you know that true and false are reserved words as well. Array. Array data types, which holds different values like test1, test2 in this A array. So if I come here and if I want to store different values, so I can just do, for example, X, I can do comma, I can put here Y, I can do comma, and then I can do Z. So in this case, A basically is an array data type variable. If you mention like this. Then we have objects, the last one, the last data type which we were talking about. which is a way to hold structured data like an array, but with named properties. And here A is an object with different properties like name, roll number. So you can use the value of property by calling object.property, like in this case, it has used a.name. So if I come here, rather than this, I just do curly brackets and I just put like A equal to, not A, maybe I will do channel equal to SAASWITHSERVICENOW. And I can do maybe platform, and I can do colon, not equal to, so I can do colon. So I can do channel colon SAASWITHSERVICENOW platform colon, I can do maybe ServiceNow. Now if I want to use that, so for example I have to print the value, so I will show you quickly what exactly I'm talking about. I will make it a little bit big again. You can see here gs.print where like this, and here I can do semicolon. What I will do a.channel. What do you think, what exactly it will print? Will it print or not? Yes, it will print, but it will print not these values. It will print SAASWITHSERVICENOW, because that's what the value of this property. And if I go a little bit bottom here and I click on run script, I got some error. JavaScript where equal to script line error. Okay, it's giving me an error, but where we have that line 1. I forgot one thing. Now these values have to be in quotations. Yeah, that's something we forgot. So I can do like this. This time it should not give any kind of error, and I can click on run script. Now you can see we have SAASWITHSERVICENOW. So we have got the value of that property, and you can use this, and I'm sure you will definitely use this in your ServiceNow scripting. You will definitely, this is kind of a daily uses thing which you have to use in ServiceNow. Functions. A JavaScript function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. It is executed when something calls it. A JavaScript function is defined with the function keyword, followed by a name, followed by parenthesis. You can define a function by starting with function keyword. Then you have to mention the name of the function. Like in this case, we have used my function. Then you have to use open and closed parenthesis. And then you will mention start and closing curly brackets. Now in these curly brackets, you can put your code which you want to run for an output. You can also use parameters as well in function. And the value of parameter can be pushed basically when actually you call the function to run that particular block of code. So this is how you define a function. If I go to my personal developer instance, for function, I can type function as I mentioned. So we have to declare it with function keyword. That's a reserved word as well. And then I can give any name, maybe my channel. That's just a name of my function. And I can just use parenthesis, and I can put these curly brackets, and now I can put a code here. So for example, in this case, I want to do gs.print hi, this is, or maybe this is SAASWITHSERVICENOW channel. and I just do like this. Now you will see I will run this code. Will it run it? Yes. And if I do run script, you can see there's no output, but the code ran, but I don't see any output. The reason behind it, after defining a function, you also need to call it. So if you can just little bit rewind, and that's what I mentioned when I was defining the function, when I was telling you about the function. Now you can define a function, but you also need to call it. Now in order to call this, I will just go down here and I will just put the name of my function, which I have created. So I can just do channel, put parenthesis, semicolon, and now you are done. And if I go a little bit bottom here and I click on run script, you will see the magic. You can see this is I think we're not getting that. Maybe I forgot to write that. Maybe I can just do it again and run this. You can see now we have, this is SAASWITHSERVICENOW channel. So we are getting the output as well. So this is how you declare function. We were talking about that parameters, that how you give parameters as well. You can still do that here. Let's say I'm putting parameter A here now, and I can do, this is maybe, let me do some tweaks here. What I will do, I will do plus A, I will do plus again. I'm just making the string. Now I don't have that SAASWITHSERVICENOW, but I will still show you the output as SAASWITHSERVICENOW. In the same thing, same output, no difference. How we can do that? With the parameter. This time what I will do, while calling the function, I will also push the parameter. And for that I will do here, I will make it SAASWITHSENOW. And if I run this script, and if I run this, you can see that we got the output. This is SAASWITHSENOW channel. No difference. There is no difference in the output, same output. And that's how you can use parameters in the function. So while you use scripting in ServiceNow, you have to remember functions, because functions, I would say, the most important element of the scripting, JavaScript in ServiceNow as well, JavaScript as well. And even for ServiceNow scripting, you will use a lot all of these functions. There are a lot of functions you will use. You will create a lot of functions in ServiceNow. You will write a lot of scripts in function in ServiceNow. Conditions. In ServiceNow, in order to do scripting, in order to get some output, you definitely have to use conditions. Because in that case, you want to perform some action, and you want to perform or run a code depend on the kind of condition you have, and condition is being met. So for that, we will talk about conditional statements. Conditional statements are used to perform different actions based on different conditions. When you need to perform some action once condition is met, then you use conditional statements. You can use if, else, else if, and switch. So these are the four basically different, and these are basically reserve words as well. These are reserve words which basically you can use and create conditional statements. You can use if to specify a block of code to be executed if a specified condition is true. The syntax for if condition starts with if keyword. Then you put condition in parentheses like a equal to 100. Then you put a code between curly brackets to execute the condition, execute the code if condition is true. So if a is really equal to 100, then you can just run that code. So once you are done with this if, and you want to execute that code with that if condition, then you can also use else. That means if that first condition is not being met, and then you can use else. That what else you want to execute, that you can mention over here. You can also use else if. where can you put another condition and you can put the code which you really want to execute. In order to do comparison in condition for if, else if, there are different operators used in JavaScript. You should remember these operators as these will be used in your daily scripting for ServiceNow. We have equal to, which will basically say that whether one variable is equal to that particular another value or not. Then we have not equal, greater than equal to, less than equal to, less than, exact same if you have mirror value, or not exact same. That means equal, that's exact same. And you have not equal, that is basically exclamation, and then equal, that is not exact same. You will definitely use most of these operators while using or scripting in ServiceNow in JavaScript. If I take you to my personal developer instance here, so let me show you about if, else, if conditions, if, else if, or else conditions. So let's say I'm going to write a script. So maybe I will do A equal to maybe 10. I will do where B equal to maybe 20. Now, how can I use it? So let's say I can do if. Now I will start writing this script with this if condition. I will make it a little bit large. We will do if A equal to 10. If the value of A is 10, then I should get output as GS dot. So if that condition will be true, that means A equal to 10, then in that case it will execute this code. And I can do, or rather than this, I can do one thing here. Let's say if A is less than 11, or maybe I will just remove this one. Let's not use this variable. I think that's better so that you can understand in that way. And I have A equal to 10. So if A is greater than 5, then you can print A is greater than 5. And I can do else if. And if A is greater than, or maybe I can just do less than 5, then it should execute this code. That will be gs dot print, and I will have A is less than 5. Now, so what I will do, I will run this code now. So if A is greater than 5, it should print like this. If it is less than 5, it should print like this. If I go at the bottom and I run this script, running it, no error, and you can see that the output is A is greater than 5. I can change this output. How? Because it is checking the condition. If it is true, print this. If this is true, print this. So in this case, I will make it 4. And if I run this, it says A is less than 5. So that's how you can use if condition, else if condition. Now, if both is not true, let's say both is not true. So in that case, I can do maybe here else. else. But I need to change a little bit of code as well. So I will do gs.print, and I can do nothing is true, and I put semicolon, I go at the top. Now here it should if nothing is there, so a is not greater than 5, so in that case if a equal to equal to 10, and if a is less than, else if a is less than 5, or if both conditions are not true, then it should print nothing is true. So in that case I will just change this value, so maybe I will make it 15, and let's say if it works and I'm going to run this, you can say nothing is true because above two conditions are not being met. So if you're not able to, so these are returning false, and that's the reason it is not printing these values, because it will only print if the value become true. So in this case, because we are getting that true value here, both of them are not true, but okay, let's print this. If both are not true, else print this. So that's how you use if, else if, and else. How JavaScript is used in ServiceNow. Scripting in ServiceNow. ServiceNow provides APIs which provide classes and methods that you can use in scripts to define functionality. These APIs are as JavaScript classes. You can use APIs for server-side and client-side scripting. As an example, Glide Record API. Glide Record is a class for database operation. Rather than writing SQL queries in ServiceNow, Glide Record is a special Java class that can be used in JavaScript exactly as a JavaScript class. A glide record is an object that contains records from a single table. How exactly you can use glide record, we will see soon. You can get all the information about APIs provided by ServiceNow on developer.servicenow.com. So whatever APIs provided by ServiceNow, you can just go to developer.servicenow.com. And if you want to navigate over there, then you have to go to developer.servicenow.com. You need to click on reference. Then you have to click on client-side API. You will also see some other options like server-side as well. And then you can access all the APIs provided by ServiceNow. This is my personal developer instance. So I will just remove all the scripts we have. So I will just remove from here. Now what I will show you, so let me just make it a little bit big. Now what exactly I will show you. Now, as I mentioned that how exactly you can use JavaScript in ServiceNow. So as of now, whatever script I was running, that was not somehow related to ServiceNow scripting. Now, what exactly ServiceNow scripting is? Now, ServiceNow scripting is somehow that what exactly you are doing anything to get or define any functionality of ServiceNow. Like as an example, that you have to fetch some number of records from incident table. So for that, you have to write a script. And ServiceNow has provided APIs for that. And like we were talking about Glide Record. For Glide Record, if I talk about the syntax perspective, so you start creating a Glide Record object. So for that, we just do like glide var, we do gr equal to new. That's a syntax. Till here everything is same except this variable name. It's up to you what variable you want to put, and then you have to select the table name, which has to be a string. So if I put here, I can just put incident, that's a table name in ServiceNow, and then I can give semicolon. Now I need to get, for example, I need to get some records. So maybe in that case, what I will do, gr dot add query. So in this case, we will try to get all those records. We will again use the string, and I will do comma. Now here I will put the value, what value I need. So maybe I will do 6. All the resolved, I think 6 is the resolved value. We have gr dot add query, and then I can do gr dot query. That means it will query the table now, and then I can do while, so that it can loop all the records we have with the same condition we are putting here, and then I can do gr dot next. That's it. And if I come here, and now I can do gs dot print. Now what exactly you want to print? We will print their number plus, I will give a gap, maybe colon, and then I will do gr dot, I can give maybe state. We just want to see the state as well. And then I can do get display value. Now for full development training, I do have a separate series, as I mentioned earlier as well. So you'll find that link in the description of this video as well. But for now, it's just kind of a demo, because overall our training is on JavaScript, that how exactly you can use JavaScript in ServiceNow with ServiceNow out of the box APIs we have. So I'm doing here gr.getDisplayValue. I think maybe I won't use it for now. And gr.state, and then I can just put semicolon, and now I can just run it. If I will run it, it says not authorized. Why exactly is that? I should be because I am an administrator. Let me check. I am a system administrator, and we have then scope global. I will check again. Yep, it ran, but I didn't get any kind of output. Maybe we don't have any record. So maybe I can do maybe 1. Let's check that. If the state is 1, if I run this, yes, we are able to get this. You can see we are getting a lot of incidents where we have state is 1. That's a backend value, and I'm able to get it. So this is how you can use JavaScript with the help of with other APIs you have provided by ServiceNow.